An American soldier said about the meeting with the Russians. They don't give a damn about anything. In this video, we will tell you a story that happened in Iraq with an American soldier and the Russian military. Everyone knows what the Russian people can do and why it's better not to mess with them. The Russian people showed what they were capable of during the Second World War, and little has changed since then. A US Army officer who served in Iraq recounted an astonishing experience he saw during the war. Russians are crazy. Don't mess with them. An American soldier of an elite unit began his story with these words. I want to tell you about this amazing event in my life. I will start my story with the fact that America is a great country, and the American Army is the most powerful army in the world. But we can't fight the Russians. It's stupid to fight with such a friendly and strong people, because at first glance, the Russians seem weak. But they are all shackled together when they need to stand up for themselves, their loved ones, and their homeland. At the time, I was in the Marine Corps. I joined the Army to get a profession, to see the world, and to fight a little. A year later, I ended up in Iraq. I served slowly, and I did not have any special incidents. We outnumbered the enemy in numbers and military equipment. Everything was fine until we were ambushed by the militants. We took up all-round defenses in anticipation of reinforcements. And about half an hour later, we saw an armored car flying in our direction at full speed. Who do you think was in this armored car? I think it's not that hard to guess. They were Russian soldiers. Russians are easy to recognize by their transport and demeanor. It was not clear to us what they were doing here, because the military of other countries always warned in advance if they were going to visit any zone. And the Russian soldiers went wherever they wanted, and they didn't inform anyone about their movements. And suddenly, they're shot at with a grenade launcher from the second floor of a destroyed building. The armored car freezes in place and lights up. The hatch overturned, and a Russian soldier jumps out of it with a machine gun at the ready. His clothes already began to burn, but he didn't pay attention to this, but instead began to continuously shoot at the militants. We were confused. He shoots instead of putting himself out. He is clearly a psycho, as we understood. At that moment, the other 4 Russians jumped out of the car and hid behind the walls, taking advantage of the fact that they were being covered. What was it? We did not understand, because everything happened instantly. Then the Russian soldier who fired fell, apparently from a wound. But suddenly, 3 soldiers who were safe behind the wall rushed to his aid. We couldn't figure out if he was alive or dead. They did it under the fired territory. They could be shot at any time. They've definitely gone crazy. And now the most interesting part begins, which shocked me. I can't say that Russians don't know how to fight. But the fact remains. The Russians went to die for the sake of their soldier. The Russians were unarmed and in full growth. I looked through the binoculars and could not understand the situation. One Russian just stood to at his full height and looked in the direction from where they were shooting. Other Russians dragged their comrade. They didn't hide and didn't crawl. They were just dragging the soldier behind them. I don't understand. They came here to die? Definitely, Russians are psychos. Our commander also looked there, not looking up from the binoculars. But I can't understand why the militants didn't fire. The Russians were in front of them at a glance, and they themselves came out. What was it? And when the Russians brought their comrade to the shelter, the one who was standing in front of the militants tilted his head forward and walked slowly behind the wall, turning his back on the militants. We looked infected. I did not understand. Was it a sign of gratitude or respect when the Russian tilted his head forward? This is war, and there are no rules in war. And few people leave anyone alive on the battlefield. We still don't understand. Why didn't the militants shoot? Maybe they were reloading their weapons. Or they sat down to rest. Or maybe they looked into the eyes of the Russian soldier and decided not to mess with him anymore. The Russians have nothing. What do they have to lose? But how to fight with such soldiers? It's important for them to simply follow the order no matter what. But the Russians really deserve respect and honor, because they didn't leave their comrade to die, but went to save him despite the fact that they themselves could die. We discussed this episode for a long time. Some were inclined to believe that the Russians were fired upon by mistake, mistaking them for strangers. Others said that the Russians didn't care about their worthless life. Still, others said that they were brought up that way. We didn't come to a consensus. Then I learned that one Russian in Iraq ordered himself to be bombed, as he was surrounded by militants. I discussed this with colleagues, and we were at a loss. I think it's better to be able to survive than to take 10 or 100 militants with you into the next world. I also talked about it with my friends. Everyone has the same opinion. Why sacrifice yourself for some kind of Iraq? We wanted to attach the title zombie to the Russians, but it didn't stick with them. Only the word Russians remained. And these Russians, even half-dead ones, are terrible because they will find the strength in themselves to cling to their throats with their teeth and not to die alone. They have nothing to lose. In Russia, there are only swamps around. The Russians have definitely gone crazy. And it's better not to mess with psychos. This is my service far from my homeland, full of adventures. The American soldier had such an impression of the Russian military, who didn't leave their comrade to die for the sake of their own lives. In fact, the Russians are probably not psychos, but just such a people. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Thanks for watching.